Hey, welcome back to Business 101. We are now on our second week, and so this is an introduction to module number 2, which we're releasing today. You can tell from the title, this particular module is entitled Ethics and Social Responsibility. Now, I made the comment during one of the videos in our first module that it's my firm contention that business should be used as a force for good in society, and realizing fully it's not always used as a force for good in society, right? Sometimes business is simply used as a vehicle for greed, for personal enrichment of the owners, and some owners are even willing to do things that are unethical and illegal to line their own pockets. And quite frankly, that is not what I'm talking about, right? I think that business, because it really does represent in our society a vast concentration of wealth, and quite frankly it always has, that wealth, at least in our society, can be equated with power and influence, right? This is what buys power and influence in our society, and it always has. And so with great power comes, as Spider-Man put it, with great power comes great responsibility, and I do believe that business has a responsibility to act and behave in a certain way in the society in which it exists. Quite frankly, I'm not the only one. There have always been a great number of business owners who believe the same kinds of things, and I think there is a growing consciousness and understanding of the responsibilities that these kinds of things bring in our society. That's encouraging to me, and I hope that you see the same kinds of things despite some of the outliers we see with folks who behave in ways that are anything but ethical. Well, as we consider sort of Module 1's foundational baseline understanding of what business is, in Module number 2 now this week, what we're looking at is this very important responsibility to conduct oneself in a particular way as a businesswoman or businessman in today's society. This is crucially important. This is one of the main reasons I teach this course, to my way of thinking, is to help you understand how business should be conducted in society, despite the fact that in some cases it's not yet, right? So what will you see in this video, this module? You'll see an introduction to the company Tom's Shoes. Now, many of you are already familiar with Tom's Shoes, right? Tom's Shoes, from the very beginning, has been a company that existed for the model 1 for 1. What does that mean? For every pair of Tom's shoes that you purchase here in the United States, the company vows and is committed to donating a pair of shoes to some child around the world who doesn't presently have shoes, right? And so they're an example of a company that was created with a social mission. However, as you'll see in the 2 videos on Tom's Shoes I'm giving you in this module, not everything ends up the way that perhaps you would hope it would end up. So there's some things for you to consider and contemplate there as you take a look at those 2 videos. What else will you see in Module 2? You will see an introduction to the whole topic of ethics and how ethics are formed, how an individual reaches his or her conclusions about what's right and wrong, and how an individual should conduct themselves in the world around us. And that has obviously vast implications on when business decision makers try to decide what's right and wrong, right? And so really what we're talking about is sort of the intersection of individual decisions about what's right and wrong, and those individuals now being placed in an organizational context where they are making ethical decisions, not just on their own personal lives, but on behalf of the commitment of resources of an entire organization, all right? Now we begin to see what business ethics is. It's individuals making decisions in an organizational context, right? Now, as you look at those things, one of the questions that comes up is, well, why is it that some business makers end up not making the best ethical decisions at all times. And the suggestion there that I'm going to make is that simply, well, sometimes temptation is pretty darn strong, especially when people are in desperate circumstances, right? Or when people begin to really try to make decisions that might benefit them, even though they kind of realize it's not really the best and highest. What does that mean? It means, well, the temptation to meet some need or to line your pockets, right, really comes down to the question, well, can I get away with it once? Is it really that bad? In fact, I dedicate an entire video to answering the question, well, how can you make sure you won't go to jail? Why do I pose that question? Well, quite frankly, because, perhaps you didn't know this, of all the different majors that you can major in college, right? Business or liberal arts or nursing or psychology or English, or of all the different majors out there in college, business majors go to jail at a far higher ratio than any other major. Bet you didn't know that. Why is it that business majors seem to inordinately, percentage-wise, go to jail more than other majors? Well, we're going to answer that in one of those videos and perhaps give you some advice how to make sure that you don't end up to be one of those folks who ends up going to jail. And that has some implications for us, right? It has some implications when we think about business and how business conducts ourselves, right? We're going to give you a couple of videos on the company Volkswagen. Volkswagen, as you may remember, was caught cheating on emissions tests with its diesel vehicles, and as a result had to pay an enormous amount of fines, as well as they came up with an ad campaign trying to make themselves look better in a couple of noteworthy commercials I'm going to show you, right? So this is all to basically tell you some things that, well, quite frankly, you kind of already know, right? Which is not every business conducts themselves in the highest and best manner. But all that being said, I think that there is a better way for us to talk about ethics in business. I mean, I can come up with video after video about, well, bad people do bad things, and sometimes they go to jail, so you shouldn't do bad things. Chances are you've heard that lecture from your folks, from other classes, from all sorts of different places. You already know this, right? I'm not telling you something you don't already know. But I think there's a better way to talk about ethics in business. And so towards the end, I give you a couple of different videos on a couple of companies you probably haven't heard of, right? Here's a small little company, right out of San Francisco called Miracle Messages that I think you should get to know. There's a little video about a company called the Old School Cafe, which is my favorite startup in the entire world. And you should really think about the videos I'm going to show you there and really consider, is there a better way to start the conversation about business ethics and business being used as a force for good in our world today? I hope you'll enjoy this module. I think it's a crucially important module. Out of all the modules that I've given you, I'm going to give you in this class. I hope that you have been able to digest Module 1 and that has provided you a good head start as we kick off this semester. But now Module 2, I really do hope that this is helpful and useful and edifying for you as you consider what does it mean to be a business person in today's society with the challenges that we're facing today. Alrighty, that is an introduction to what you'll engage with in Module 2. I sure hope you enjoy the module, and we'll continue to chat online and in these introductory videos as well. Take care. Great luck. I wish you the very, very best with Module 2.